The provincial government is set to amend Ontario's growth plan this year, and it's expected to make changes to its density and intensification targets. Last year, a group of mayors and stakeholders met to discuss the new numbers, and some weren't happy with what they saw. Hazel McCallion is, of course, the former mayor of Mississauga and an advisor to Premier Kathleen Wynne on matters concerning the Greater Toronto and Hamilton area. She recently delivered a report on that meeting to the province, and her recommendations bring her to our studio tonight. It's always a pleasure to see you, and of course I'm still tempted to call you Your Worship because you only had the job for about 3.5 decades, but welcome back to TVO.
Thank you.
It's good to see you.
Great to be here.
Tell me, let's just start very broadly. What were the concerns that you heard at the meeting?
Well, the increase in the density, the Crombie report.
This is David Crombie.
David Crombie. The David Crombie report was a good report. It certainly said the density should increase, but to phase it. When the government report came out, they said, no, jump it right up and implement it. And one size doesn't fit all. Every municipality in the GTA, because I was chairman of the GTA mayors and regional chairs for 10 years, so I know the municipalities very well. And their situation in each. And they're all different.
So
we're all different.
It's a mistake then to try to set one set of rules for everybody.
Exactly. And that's what the government report did. So I, knowing all the mayors in the GTA, it was suggested to me that maybe I should call a summit, which I did. And all the mayors showed up except 2, and they couldn't be there. They sent representatives. So it was fully represented, the GTA. And Hamilton, and they dealt with the government report, and they were not happy. And their opinions were quite consistent, very consistent all the way.
What was the
density? Too much.
Too much density.
Yeah, too much density. Too fast. No financial plan, and economic plan. Just go ahead and do it. Now, in 2006, they came up with a growth plan. Here was a whole new plan, and the municipalities hadn't even implemented the 2006 growth plan. And the growth plan of 2006 did not recommend the densities that this new one has.
You mentioned too far, too fast.
Too far, too fast.
What specifically is the province trying to do too far and too fast that they complained about? Well,
you know what it is, Steve, I have to tell you. The staff at the province, I don't think any of them have been in the municipalities. They all come out of university and they're hired by the government. You know, it's hard for me as a mayor for some 40 years, because I was mayor of Streetsville
before Mississauga.
I became mayor.
That's right.
I grew a city from 260,000 to 800,000, and the people are happy. The people of Mississauga are happy. And to talk to staff at the province that never implemented any plan. They never had the opportunity, but they know all the answers, which bothers me considerably. So that's why I offered to help the Premier, and for the Premier to meet with the mayors and the chairs herself. And she was very pleased with the first couple of meetings. And then along came the growth plan. So after the summit, and the summit was taped, all I did was take the tape of the comments of the mayors and put together a report to give to the Premier. And it said it all, and it was very consistent.
Do you have any indication as to whether the Premier is open to changing her previous views on this?
I don't think she is. That's the message I'm getting. I don't know who she's listening to, Steve. I don't know if it's her chief of staff or what, or listening to Neptus, or listening to radical environmentalists. I don't know. But, people want to own a home. People want to grow their family to grow up in a home. And what we're going to end up with will be all condominiums and high density.
Well, that's not what they want. But what they're saying is the cost of infrastructure nowadays is so high that we simply cannot any longer allow people to have the expectation that they can have a 10,000 square foot home with a 3-car garage everywhere they want to.
No.
Would you agree with that? Yes?
I agree with that, but people do want maybe a semi-detached or a townhouse, They don't, not everybody wants to live in a condominium.
Right.
And the direction the mayor is going to force them into condominiums, etc. And you know, Ontario's always bragged about having a choice of residential accommodation. But the growth plan that they're going with is that the staff has recommended, not what David Crombie recommended. It's going to force people to live in condominiums and high density. That's not acceptable. We need high density. Mississauga has the second highest density in the province, next to Toronto. It's not urban sprawl. Yes, we started out with single family. Now we're growing density in the city core, along the corridors, etc., where density should be, etc. And we're providing 7,000 acres of parkland, so people can enjoy parkland.
But if I understand the David Crombie report, they're not looking at massive density. They're looking at increasing 5, 6, and 7-story condos and apartments, which they think is more intensification without overdoing it.
In the right location.
Right. So what's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that.
You're okay with that?
I'm okay with the Crombie report. I'm not okay with the government report. She promised me, or the staff did, and the Premier knows, that I wanted her to meet with the mayors and regional chairs before the report went to Cabinet from the Minister of Municipal Affairs. That is not happening. And you know, people don't let me down often.
Well, I was going to say, in the last Ontario election in 2014, you surprised a lot of people by coming out and endorsing Premier Kathleen Wynne. I endorsed the Premier
for leadership, and I endorsed the Liberal government. And, you know, I'm disappointed with what I'm hearing. I hope what I'm hearing is wrong.
Have you talked to the Premier directly about this?
Yes, I had a discussion with her. I said to her, be careful as to who's advising you. Be careful of the organizing. Make sure that you say to them, give me the facts. There's a report out now. She says, well, there's all kinds of land ready to be developed in the GTHA, but the developers are holding it up. Here's a report published that is in her hands by a planner that has done development along with many advisors that says there isn't. Secondly, there's land in the Greenbelt. What I get disturbed about, they spent a lot of money and time looking at the Greenbelt, and they're saying, oh, we can't change the Greenbelt. Well, why look at it if you're not going to change it? Why waste the money and time?
Do you think we
There's land in the Greenbelt that is serviced and should come out, and there's land that should go into the Greenbelt. Neither is happening.
So you think there is land that could come out and other land that should go in?
That should go in.
And at the end of the day, it'll help us with housing supply.
Exactly. And what is the problem today? A shortage. Why are the prices soaring?
Supply.
Supply. Supply and demand is still the old on all products.
Well, can I be a little mischievous here with you?
Yes.
Your successor as mayor of Mississauga, Bonnie Crombie, whom you endorsed for that job. You know, she's kind of on side with the provincial government on this, if I understand her position properly, which is she's in favor of more intensification.
Oh, I'm in favor of more intensification.
Is there daylight between your positions?
The municipalities, all the municipalities are in favor of more intensification in the right location in their community, not to ruin their community by sticking it all over the place. All the mayors are in favor. The report says it. They're in favor of intensification, but not jumping the intensification. That's what David Crombie said. Intensification is good. Phase it in. Take it gradually. Do it right, and don't push it.
Do we have the luxury of phasing it in over a longer period of time when it appears the need to make a decision and to get new stock built is so pressing?
I think there is time. There is time, and the builders and the developers are prepared to make it happen, but make it happen right for the government and for the people. It's the people. You know, municipalities, if you're going to have growth, you better have the services to look after the people when they come out of the houses. I think we did that pretty good in Mississauga.
Let me ask you one last question. I was about to say, Your Worship. I got to get out of the habit of doing that. But let me ask you one last question, Ms. McCallion, and that is, you said earlier, people don't disappoint me often and get away with it. Could you fill in the blanks of what that means? If the Premier doesn't see it your way at the end of the day, what are you suggesting?
It's not seeing it my way. It's seeing the way of all the mayors in the GTA and the regional chairs.
Okay, or else what?
Well, she's not very high in the polls right now.
I've noticed.
And the mayors of the municipalities have a major influence during an election, in my opinion. And she has to forget about the advice she's getting, obviously, at the present time, which in my opinion is not good advice on the growth plan. And she's got to sit back, look at everything, do her homework, as my favorite statement, and make the right decision for the people of the GTA. Remember, there's 4 million people coming. We better be ready for them with a choice of residential accommodation. And she has the opportunity. The green belt was made on political decisions at the last minute, without consultation with many landowners.
I think
it's her opportunity to get the green belt right. And what I'm hearing is they're going to make no changes to the green belt, very small changes. In my opinion, she has the opportunity to get it right.
For what it's worth, I think the McGuinty government officials would say they consulted widely on the green belt. People may not have liked all the decisions. They would acknowledge there was more political science than geographic science that went into it. But at the end of the day, it's lasted 10 years, you know, so it hasn't been a disaster.
No, it's lasted 10 years, and now the Premier has the opportunity to get it right. The boundary was all screwed up. They've corrected that. They had the green belt going through golf course buildings. So, you know, and what happened with McGuinty? Decisions were made at the last minute, political decisions. Land was left out because of political, and land was in. I could give you an example in Caledon, where there's a huge growth green belt, and right in the middle of it is land that's allowed to develop. So Premier Wynne has the opportunity to get it right. And if she rushes this and listens to undocumented evidence on the green belt and on the growth plan, then she will add to her problems.
Hazel McCallion, always good to see you. Thanks for coming in and sharing your views with us tonight.
Thank you, Steve. Always great to be with you.
Help TVO create a better world through the power of learning. Visit TVO.org and make a tax-deductible donation today.